you heard the guys, Jack Clint, giving Zoomer a ton of props.
Yeah.
I have to say, this is the best Zoomer I've personally seen since AW.
Well, I mean, there was always that question, right? Like, can FaZe win a championship? Like, when's the next time? And to me, it's come down to Zoom and attach. Once they got back to sort of AW form, they have the potential to do it. So I think you're finally starting to see a glimpse of that. That's scary.
It's very, very scary because he was doing that against LG. That isn't like an Epsilon squad. He's dropping like 40 kills against some of the best Slayers in the game. And to be frank, that was just a wonderful performance all round. We'll obviously go ahead and break down the series. Phil, map 1. I mean, look at the score already. 128 to 45 in favor of FaZe. Not what many people would have expected.
Yeah, and of course, yes, credit to Zuma. He's playing absolutely phenomenal, which I'm sure we'll touch on a little bit later as well. But you look across the board. Replays a 1.5, attacks there nearly at a 2.0. Priest are 18 at 10. When you've got a team of 4 players that are just dropping these amount of numbers, you can't lose. Yes, I think Jack Tanner touched on when was the last time you saw Octane dropping 9 and 21, and it's very odd to kind of see this and to kind of break it down on why this happened. But I think the one thing that's really nice to see is this kind of duoship of Priester and Zuma of kind of on the same page. They're clicking, they're picking up those kind of fast-paced SMGs, and a lot of the time when FaZe were in that stage where, like Merc said, when's the next time they're gonna win? It was finding someone maybe on the same speed or the same pace as Zuma, and I think Priester can match that. He can be that player, but winning a tournament, I think, to kind of draw it out a little bit, I will say Zuma had those kind of series where he'd go off and then it'd be like normal again. Then he'd go off, but the whole of Division B, he's been fantastic. Like, all the 2 weeks, it's just been time and time again. It's been amazing to watch. Yeah,
and I think sort of on the Luminosity side, right? Like, they're 5-0 at this point. Like, coming into this game, Octane's played incredible. It's sort of the same thing with like what we expect from Slasher. We don't expect those stat lines. Like, I mean, you can't expect it every game. You just can't. Luminosity, they were perfect up until this point, and that's okay. 5-0. Maybe they needed a loss, right, to sort of light that fire again. They have, I believe, a tough match tomorrow against Envy. So maybe that's what they needed. It's not a bad thing. They're still in a great spot. They're top 2. But, yeah, I mean, FaZe, they just looked so good in that game number 1. And, well, Zuma and FaZe, they lost this match. But this map, I should say, but Zuma didn't stop there.
No, most definitely didn't. Continued where he left off. I mean, you just see it. Round 2's already sitting at 5-1. End of round 3, 8-3. I mean, when you have a player who's just feeling so confident, Phil, I mean, I'm set with 2 former professional players at the desk. I mean, when you have a teammate like that, it must make you feel wonderful as well.
That's what I was going to say. It radiates through the team. You kind of get that positive energy that's kind of flowing. And I think the one thing I will say about FaZe in the whole of Division B is every time it pans to them after a victory, I actually think his replays and Priester, they're kind of like, they're so hyped and they're so like, they're fist bumping everything. And when they're winning, it's great to kind of see that, and they're just riding this high at the moment, which doesn't seem to be ending. They're doing very, very well. It's obviously an unfortunate finish on the Search and Destroy for them, but again, super performance out of, I mean, 16 kills in an S&D. It's what can you say?
Yeah, this got a little scary, though. 5-2, LG were up. Octane was hitting some incredible snipes. Like, the guy was putting on a highlight reel. He didn't have the best game 1, but game 2, he really stepped it up. And then 3 rounds very quickly for FaZe. We go to our round 11. Goes into sort of a 4v2 situation, and you saw Zuma just hunting kills. But finally, they were able to stop it. They get that final trade. Luminosity, that was a great response from them.
And let's not forget how big of a victory or how big of a win this is for FaZe. They needed this as well, considering, they go up against Unilad late last night. What many would consider a bit of a surprise loss. So in their minds, this really is a little bit of a must-win. And obviously at this point, series tied 1-1. We head over towards the CTF, and pressure once again back on FaZe.
Yeah, absolutely, and they just really stepped it up. They continued. Obviously, it's sort of a Zuma highlight reel, and there's a reason for that. Attach as well. They really put the pressure on. They were winning a ton of gunfights, and yeah, Luminosity did a pretty solid job responding at the end of the first half, but then you go into the second half, and again, FaZe are just right in your base. They get a 4 down. Within a minute, they score another flag, and they just didn't stop.
Yep, that's pretty much how it went down, right? It was just a big snowball effect, and all of FaZe playing it very, very well, Phil.
Yeah, I think confidence is playing a huge key in the element of FaZe doing so well at the moment. Is the challenging things that sometimes maybe when you've lost a series or you've had a bad map that you don't challenge, and everything seemed to just be going their way. We saw streaks coming in. I think it was Slacked who called in the fighter pilot, just kind of put it away at the wrong time. But regardless of the little things, FaZe were the better team on that CTF. They were the better team on the hard point. Yes, the S&D was round 11, but going in this series, I was genuinely looking at Luminosity as the best team in the world from a personal opinion. And I know it's kind of a little bit of a curveball to say that with TK winning back-to-back and divisions not facing divisions. But I looked at Luminosity as consistency. They were kind of the best team, and then I see FaZe just like dismantle them like they were. I'm not going to go down and say they were amateur or anything. Like they were fantastic.
They just made it look easy.
They made it look too easy. They made it look like something was wrong. Something was wrong in the LG count, and it wasn't. It was just FaZe playing great.
Yeah, FaZe really did play fantastic, and it carried on through into Map 4 as well. I actually watched a big part of this game with some of the Envy guys who were still here. Obviously, this game has a big effect on them, because if FaZe win this matchup, which they ultimately do, Envy just bump up into first place. And literally all it was from Temple Slash was Zoomer is just a beast. Zoomer is just a beast. Like the amount of times I heard the word Zuma, it just, he's a human walking highlight reel, Joe. It's insane.
This game was weird, Ben. Like the score, I think like midway through it was like 40-40, like 50-50. You're like, what is going on here? Like it was such a just low scoring game. These guys were trading time on the Ruins Hill, on Cave. There was so much contesting, even on that first bunker, which really sort of drained that game clock. But as you said, Zuma, you got to throw Attach some love as well. I mean, again, this duo together, this is when they won championships. When they were both at their peak, they were so hard to beat. That old FaZe, just 2-3 years ago, it's those two that can really propel your roster to be the best in the world.
Attached with a 1.56 as well. The two SMGs just really having a standout performance. Octane a 0.86. You hate to throw an individual player under the bus, but it is worth mentioning. It's probably one of the worst performances we've seen from him in a while, but it is going to happen at some point. You can't have standout performances the entire time. And for me, that's kind of scary, because traditionally when he does have one of those poor performances, he tends to come back the next game you see him. And to that point, he gets pretty infuriated and tends to play significantly better. So tomorrow's going to be interesting, that's for sure. But we should talk a little bit about the Astro Gaming MVP of the day, if you will. It's a little bit of speculation. It has to be Zuma. I mean, Maven already said if it isn't, he's going to fire someone. So I'm going to try and keep my job.
Nobody wants to be fired. That is the commissioner of the CWL.
Sure is. I mean, again, we've talked about it throughout this series, but it's been all day. It has.
It really has. All day. And I do want to kind of credit him. I know this is an MVP for the day, but I do want to credit him for the whole of Division B. He's fantastic. And it's great to see him, back at his best, because he's always that exciting player. People will kind of become a fan of someone because of their play style. And watching Zuma, it's that super fast, aggressive player who just kind of makes those flashy plays, and the three pieces. Awesome to see. Well deserved.
And it seems to have just kind of clicked at the right time, Joe.
Yeah, I think coming into this sort of stage one, right, we weren't too sure. FaZe, they had a 7/8 placing at New Orleans. It was solid. They had top 4 at Dallas. We knew the potential of this team, but I mean, still they have some inconsistencies, right? They did lose to Unilad, but I think you saw the sort of tippity top of this roster and what they can do. All 4 players. We focus on Zuma being that speculated MVP, but Priest and Replays also played spectacular. You had a big game out of Attach. Like, this team, when they're riding that wave, they're going to be tough to stop.
The key is consistency, right? If they can now play like that against every team in the world.
I don't know if it's a mental thing, if they weren't prepared yesterday, if they looked at Unilad a little lightly. You were talking to Ben over there. He said, we didn't scrim much yesterday. Today, they played a ton. And, it just depends on the team. Some of those teams they have to get some scrims in to get warmed up.
And you kind of heard him as well saying, we experimented, 2 ARs on the... You're not going to see that again, that's for sure. But we can now take a look at the standings after day 2, and there it is. Jeez. Team Envious at the top, 6-0. LG take their first loss at 5-1. FaZe at 4-2. And this is where things just get unbelievably close down towards the bottom. EG currently in 4th in a playoff spot at 3-3. Splice, Unilad, E-United all at 2-4, and Epsilon sat at 0-6.
If FaZe would have lost this, they would have been at 3-3. That would have made you know, numbers 3 through 7 in a one game away from one another. It's a crazy division so far.
And what gets even crazier is that second to last game, 7 p.m. Team Envious versus Luminosity. If LG beat Envy, they retake first place. If not, Envy could be sitting flawless after 2 weeks here in the division, as well as that Epsilon versus FaZe to kick things off. Let's be honest, you expect FaZe to win that game, but Unilad versus E United and Splice versus EG. Basically, all those games tomorrow are going to be fantastic, Phil.
They are, and I think what FaZe can do is take advantage of this being the end of week 2. Go out, go crazy, go for a 3-0 sweep, and just kind of take that high into, obviously, the next set. Obviously, we're going to get Division A back soon, so they just need to end on this high. For the rest of the games, it's all up for grabs. The craziest thing for me when we were looking at the standings is Splice and E United coming into Division B. I had those guys in my top 4. And I didn't have FaZe. I can't believe I'm saying this now. It feels weird.
Yeah, FaZe
I didn't have FaZe and Envy in my top 4.
A lot of people did, yeah.
Envy Spurs. And FaZe have just... I don't know, man. This is...
Well, what's crazy, too, is FaZe, if they do, you know, continue to win, or it's even like Envy, if they win tomorrow and they go 7-0, they don't take these 2 weeks and go into the second set. We're going to see them in Atlanta. They have the opportunity to win an open event, to win a $200,000 event. So that's even more important for those guys.
Very true. Good point, Joe. Good point. But that now, of course, concludes the end of Day 2, Week 2, Division B of the CWL Pro League presented by PlayStation 4. And what a fantastic day it has been. Again, the quality of Call of Duty just seems to get better and better every single day. We've had some upsets and also some fantastic games. But one thing's for sure, the pressure is definitely on here in Division B. Tomorrow's games, the final day of the set, if you will, is going to be absolutely intense. And we will know, of course, who will be sitting at the top of the league at the end of the day as Team Envious versus Luminosity go toe-to-toe. We'll see you guys all tomorrow at 4 p.m. to kick off the final day.